A little over a year ago, Warner Bros. And Legendary released Godzilla King of the Monsters to a very mixed critical reception, and a very underwhelming box office turnout. I made a very short video a few days after its release. It was an unscripted little video where I talked about how much I loved it. I wanted to get a small video out on it, but that led to me not having a whole lot to say about why exactly I liked the movie so much. So today I plan on elaborating a bit more about the movie, and why exactly I love it so much.
History shows again and again how nature points up the folly of man.
The Godzilla I grew up with is the Godzilla that acted as a protector to Earth. He would fight kaiju that threatened the planet, and sometimes even teamed up with other kaiju to do the job. Godzilla vs. Megalon vs. Gigan vs. Space Godzilla, this was my Godzilla. In fact, I didn't learn Godzilla's dark beginnings and origin as a villain until much later in my life. But that's a story for another day. For me, growing up, Godzilla was a giant monster who fought other monsters wanting to destroy the planet. And perhaps that's why I liked it so much. It was kind of like a superhero story. Godzilla stopping Ghidorah is like Batman stopping Joker. It's very comforting. Even as I grew older and found the different interpretations and stories that the Godzilla series contained, my Godzilla was always the one I grew up with. While sitting in the theater for King of the Monsters, I couldn't help but have a huge smile on my face during all the monster fights. As I said in my other video about the movie, it felt like a big blockbuster remake of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. During Ghidorah's grand entrance in the beginning of the film, I did in fact start to tear up. The pure happiness that was flowing through me was exactly what I needed. The film really nailed the monsters. It feels like they were treated with the respect they deserved. The designs are different while not straying too far from the source. Sure, there's a handful of people who dislike Mothra looking like a real moth, which is understandable, but I feel the design really works in the world that's been established in this universe. Ghidorah's design is amazing and genuinely terrifying, and Rodan honestly is the best I think he's ever looked. Godzilla's redesign is good, but I'll be honest, I prefer the more jagged spikes of the 2014 design to the standard Godzilla plates we're all familiar with. Now at least there's a canon explanation as to why his plates changed between movies, even if it is from a comic nobody read, but the point still stands. The monster here are the best they've been in years, and it's clear Doherty and the rest of Legendary really cared about how these iconic monsters of cinema were portrayed. After all, this film was released during Godzilla's 65th anniversary. Okay, I'll say it. I didn't think the humans were all that bad. Looking at Godzilla's enormous catalog of films, they're not all winners on the human side. But for some reason, King of the Monsters is constantly brought up as one of the worst in terms of human characters, and I strongly disagree. Aside from the unnecessary humor at times, I thought it was all very serviceable. If anything, I was actually interested in these characters, and I didn't completely hate it when they were on screen. Besides, it's always great to see Ken Watanabe as Dr. Serizawa. Sure, I wish they all had a little bit more development, but at the end of the day, it really was not that bad. There are other Godzilla movies with much worse human characters. Bear McCreary is an insanely talented person, and I'd argue his score for King of the Monsters is among one of the best soundtracks we've ever had for a Godzilla movie. It all works so effectively. Memories of San Francisco is a haunting piece, showcasing the destruction from the 2014 film in the civilian perspective. It has echoes of 2014's score, making for a great, although chilling, throwback.
Sometimes, the only way to heal our wounds is to make peace with the demons who created. them.
Goodbye Old Friend made me cry. Serizawa's sacrifice was already a pretty sad scene, but it's definitely the music that enhances it. One more thing that's important to mention is the time the movie was released. Life was incredibly rough for me in May 2019. I won't go too far with the details, just know that sometimes it was hard to get out of bed in the morning. Like I mentioned earlier, Godzilla has always been a huge part of my life. He's the best form of escapism I could ever ask for. King of the Monsters released right when I needed a break from everything going on in the world. Essentially, when I needed Godzilla most, he was there. I cried when I watched this movie for the first time. It wasn't just the emotional scenes that got tears out of me, but rather the impact of the movie itself. In my lifetime, a perfect Godzilla movie released. I know critics didn't feel the same way. A lot of the times I talk about this movie, it feels like I'm fighting a one-man fight. It really does feel like I'm the only one who likes this movie. I know I'm not, but the harsh criticism far outweighs whatever good things I hear about it. I'm hoping Godzilla vs. Kong is good, that it can live up to King of the Monsters. I want the Monsterverse to continue. I want Godzilla to remain a prevalent character in cinema. Really, all I can say now is thank you, Michael Dougherty. Long live the King.